Let's welcome the king of monsters, the most ferocious kaiju of all time, Godzilla. He has had countless iterations over the years, from small to big screens and even comic books. This means it has been reimagined a couple of times along with a few new storylines. In some, Godzilla is just brute force, and then in others, he has telepathy and even flight, kinda. In this episode, we're going to discuss a less explored tale of this champion of monsters. This is a story from the pages of the comic book miniseries from IDW Publishing, titled Godzilla: Rage Across Time. Every issue of this series was a universe of its own, as every one of those issues was put together by a distinct creative team. Today, we're going to talk about issue number 2 of this series, where our favorite kaiju goes toe-to-toe with the god of thunder, the mighty Zeus. Now, who would have imagined a battle between an ancient Greek god and a modern-day nuclear monster? So, without further ado, let's get started. But before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin. Mortals, God's favorite collateral damage. This is a tale of ancient Greece, where the gods would make decisions as they deemed fit, even if it meant playing with the lives of the mortals. All they cared about was their own luxuries and egos. Filled with the prayers and cries of their worshippers, there was absolutely nothing any mortal could do to get the gods' attention and uplift them out of their misery. Until one fateful day that shook the abode of the gods over Mount Olympus. This was the day when Godzilla arrived in ancient Greece. The story begins with two naval armies engaged in a gruesome battle. Their ships clash with each other as each army tries to slaughter the other and take over. Both factions are deeply engrossed in killing each other and defending themselves, and suddenly these sailors sense something unusual in the sea. They know the sea like the back of their hands, and they certainly know it when something isn't right. Before they could realize it, their naval vessels were shredded into pieces. It was a scene straight from hell. All you could see were men and pieces of ships flying around like dust. It was Godzilla, who simply decided to resurface from the depths of the sea and without any effort destroyed an entire naval battalion. All the sailors could see was the sea birthing a devil. Olympus, abode of the god of ego. Hermes, who looks like Namor from Black Panther with winged feet, is actually the Greek god of travel. He's seen running in the air across ancient Greece. People watch him zip through the cities, and they can sense the urgency in his speed. Hermes finally reaches Mount Olympus and starts calling out for Zeus. All the other gods were there, confused as well, but that didn't stop them from lounging and gulping drink after drink. No one knew and cared that there could be an emergency. These egoistic maniacs were in fact angered that Hermes didn't greet them first, called out Zeus's name directly. All they cared for was to feed their self-esteem. Hermes kneeled ahead of Zeus as he gazed upon him uninterestedly. I bet Zeus wasn't even paying attention to the messenger. However, Hermes goes ahead and fulfills his duty and reveals the tragedy. He is here to inform Zeus about the battling sailors and how none of them survived. Suddenly, there's a commotion atop Mount Olympus, and it's buzzing with the voices of the gods. They waste no time passing judgments and building theories of their own. Ares, the god of war, is gravely disappointed and upset that none of the devotees have prayed to him, nor have they offered anything. He is expecting the humans to seek his guidance and aid during wartime and must do anything to please the god of war. Aphrodite, the goddess of love, disregards Ares' claims and demands, let's not forget she's just one of them. She too ends up pondering how she hasn't heard any prayers or cries from mortals who are fighting for love and passion. It's rightly said that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Ares doesn't understand her thoughts because he believes no human would ask for love during a war. Well, he isn't totally wrong. This little debate angers the mighty Zeus, and he walks down his throne with lightning in his eyes. All he saw was that the gods were squabbling like mortals, and Zeus, the big daddy of them all, considered humans nowhere closer to themselves. In his not-so-humble opinion, humans will have to bear the consequences that follow if they chose to act without guidance from the gods. Oh Zeus, thou heartless old man. However, the brave goddess of love steps up to Zeus. She argues that the mortals have been suffering for a while now, so why have you ignored them? Zeus thinks that the humans haven't given them anything in return. He thinks that the monuments built by them and the centuries of worship done by mortals aren't enough. Aphrodite is absolutely the goddess of love in its truest form. She hasn't given up just yet. Aphrodite points out that there might be something that needs the gods' attention, something like the Titan. She very aptly explains that true power lies in compassion. Gods, the indecisive divine spirits. Poseidon, the god of sea, couldn't bear the sight of Aphrodite appealing to the mighty Zeus to intervene and save the humans from whatever lies down there. Poseidon finally leaves his hot tub, grabs his trident, and walks up to Aphrodite. He wishes to please the beautiful goddess of love by going down head-to-head with the unknown chaos. Ares suggests that war should be brought to the land to show the mortals that they are protected only if the gods are willing to fight for them. What he really meant was to make humans fully dependent on them. However, Zeus is still reluctant to make any kind of intervention. He also reminds Ares about a time when they tried to meddle in the affairs of the commoners, and it almost cost them their lives. Well, long story short, Zeus is out. Soon, an argument broke out between the rest of them when Zeus agreed to step in and aid the humans only to teach them a lesson. Teach them that the gods are high above their meaningless lives and useless desires. However, Aphrodite isn't the one to be silenced. She tries reasoning with Zeus that the mortals are innocent souls and as gods, it is their duty not to ignore them. According to her, the gods' lives are empty without millions of human voices praying and chanting. Zeus, the mighty thunder god, erupts in rage with his eyes full of thunderbolts. He denies the fact that the meaning of their lives and powers comes from mortals and their beliefs. He thinks that humans are made to serve the gods and please them in every possible way. Master of the waves, swallowed by the sea. It is rightly said that you shouldn't bite more than you can chew. I guess our god of the sea, Poseidon, learned it the difficult way. He descended down to the land of the commoners and the sea that he ruled. All he could see was shipwreckage and debris. Not a single object in sight looked like it was ever a boat. He commands the sea creatures to swim away from the sight as he wants to inspect it closely. Soon, he notices a massive claw mark on what looks like a ship hull. He absolutely has no clue about what could have gone down there, but Poseidon is certain that Ares must be very pleased to learn that the mortals are capable of reaching such gruesome levels of destruction. However, if Ares was unaware of this war, it couldn't have been caused by humans battling each other. What may have the mortals brought upon themselves this time, wonders the master of the sea. Soon there's an uproar in the sea and the earth starts shaking violently. He knew for a fact that it ain't an earthquake, as Poseidon also happens to be the god of, guess what? Yes, you're right, he is indeed the god of earthquakes as well. Poseidon is splashed away as he is hit by a massive wave. All of a sudden, the god of the sea himself feels like he is in uncharted territory, even though he is in the middle of the sea. He grabs his trident and summons every ounce of courage in him. Poseidon is seeing, but he can't believe his sight. He's looking straight at a furious Godzilla, something that this god has never witnessed in centuries. He uses all his powers and his mighty trident as well, attacking the giant in all possible ways, but he can barely even scratch the monster. Finally, the god of the sea bites the dust in the most unexpected way. He drowns in a massive wave, effortlessly caused by the Monster King. The gods above couldn't help one of their own either, let alone the humans. They were caught up in their never-ending debate about why they should abandon humanity. Hera. Amid the ongoing chaos atop Mount Olympus, Hera's arrival gives Zeus some hope of being right, as she is the god of women and fertility and of course his wife. The mighty god of thunder is under the impression that his better half is there to aid his side of the argument by imparting divine knowledge. He happily asks her about his way of treating humans. He wishes to know that his inconsiderate way of dealing with his worshippers is the right way, but the question is, to what extent? Is Zeus wrong for not seeing any value in mortals? However, Hera drops some truth bombs, explosive enough to boil Zeus with anger. She sounds pretty upset with her husband's point of view. According to Hera, Zeus has been disrespecting humanity lately and now he doesn't even care about his own kind. Zeus doesn't have the will anymore to lead the pantheon of gods, plus the mortals haven't received anything in return from the mighty Zeus in exchange for the love and worship. Humans have lost all faith in the gods as they even wage wars without an ounce of consideration for the gods. Zeus, the battle-hardened almighty god, has a straightforward, masculine solution. Punish those puny humans and instill fear in their hearts for the gods. However, Hera, the wise one, has a different take on this. Love for the divine always outweighs the fear of hell. Surprisingly, Ares agrees and it acts like the final nail in the coffin to piss off Zeus. He shouts for them to stop disobeying him, shuts up, and storms off. Everyone around him is well aware of his arrogance, but none of them can do anything about it. Olympus has fallen. Finally, the mighty yet arrogant Zeus decides to take a look down from his heavenly abode. All the debating has got him curious now as to what it is that has caused so much chaos and even killed one of them. He sees Godzilla at the bottom and blames Hephaestus, the Greek god of creation. However, he denies any such creation and alleges that Poseidon's wave must have brought this giant creature here. As Zeus prepares to take down the Monster King, Ares leaps towards him with his battle axe and all of the godly spirit in him. Within the blink of an eye, Ares was completely vaporized by Godzilla's atomic breath. Another god was killed by the Monster King without any effort. There is absolute chaos atop Mount Olympus, and the gods are in panic. Aphrodite warns Zeus to step down and fall back as they have no clue what they're dealing with. But Zeus has no time for taking opinions, and he summons Hydra, a serpent-like sea monster with multiple heads, to take down Godzilla. I think it's about time Zeus should be considered the god of ego too. The battle between the two giants has already begun, and Godzilla spares no time to rip apart Hydra and digs him at the bottom of Mount Olympus. This causes the foundation to break, and the entire mountain comes down crumbling. Looks like only Zeus has survived the impact, and he is on the same grounds as the mortals. Zeus, the god of gods, now stands alone, and everything he ever knew lies in ruins. Zeus and Beyond. Zeus is determined to make the beast pay for his sins. He enters the ring all set to zap the monster with his thunderbolts, and so it begins. Zeus throws in lightning punches and kicks without any impact on Godzilla. He stomps on Zeus with such force that it almost buries him. However, the mighty one emerges with brute lightning force. Zeus summoned every inch of his strength and took one last shot at Godzilla. This time, it did cause damage to the beast and slowed him for a brief moment. Zeus's attacks sent shockwaves across cities and leveled them, leaving nothing but ruins. Although it did scare away the king of monsters, it also left Zeus completely drained of his powers and weak. He finally felt a speck of empathy for the mortals, as he is now one of them. Zeus accepted that Aphrodite and Hera were right. It was a new Zeus who vowed that if he ever became a god, he would learn the troubles of his subjects and overcome his arrogance. He started a humble life in Pompeii, Rome, as a common man, and wrote down his entire story along with an illustration of Godzilla. However, it wasn't all over just yet. Soon, Mount Vesuvius erupted, and guess who emerged from it? Yep, our favorite kaiju, Godzilla. Everything was instantly turned to dust, and nothing was spared this time, not even Zeus. The not-so-mighty god of thunder finally bit the dust along with the entire city of Pompeii. Fast forward to 2016, Dr. Thompson, a historian and archaeologist, and Nikki Kasumi, an archaeology PhD student, were working in Pompeii, where they found a very well-kept body showing fear and a picture of Godzilla. Kasumi thought this meant that there were many Godzillas over time, but Thompson believed there was just one Godzilla who had a bigger impact on human history than humans had on him. How can Godzilla time travel? In this issue, we see the day the king of the monsters arrives with a bang. Now, we're talking about a time between the 12th and 9th centuries BC when these Greek gods lived on Earth. This makes me think about how exactly Godzilla managed to travel back in time. I mean, yes, there are a number of skills under his belt, but how could he possibly travel in time? Well, the answer to this lies in one of the many comic books. This is something that Godzilla couldn't do on his own. Obviously, in the story from Dark Horse Comics, a bad guy named Professor Mason sends Godzilla back in time to when Mount Vesuvius erupted in Pompeii. Mason wants to use Godzilla to change history for his own benefit, but the good guys, G-Force, chase the beast through time. This chase takes them to different historical events like England's battle with the Spanish Armada, the Titanic sinking, and even into the future. Marvelous verdict. In this episode, we looked into a completely unknown battle between the Monster King and his mighty opponent. It showed us that Godzilla isn't just powerful, he is very, very powerful. I mean, come on. He just knocked out a legit god. I think this ends the forever debate about how strong Godzilla is. We saw not only Godzilla's remarkable feat of strength, but also the many faces of the gods, from arrogance to cruelty and from divinity to death. We've seen it all. Now, I hope you have a far better understanding of what this kaiju is capable of and his deep and unknown impact on human history. As we conclude this video, let's not forget that there will always be something more than what meets the eye, at least in the world of comic books. If you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.